Today is the 4th of... No, it's not. It's not the 4th of April or the 4th of March. It is the 5th of April. And this is definitely not March. Unless we'll get the news done for the day. So here we go with BBC News UK. Open University staff call for Peter Horrocks to resign. The man using pink cat covered lunchbox to show boys that men can be emotional, silly and gleeful. Grenfell Tower cladding failed to meet standard. Killing can be contagious. We should treat murder like deadly virus. Many blog says Mark Easton. And it's like anyone can murder, it's like it isn't really contagious. Man charged with murder after Glasgow flats death. I have a teenager and I'm scared of him. For him, MP from Tottenham, David Lammy on violence on London following recent spate of murders in capital. Plastic bag litter falls in UK seas. Labour member sorry over Holocaust Facebook post. Russian ambassador to UK says he hopes to personally meet Yulia Skripal's cousin Victoria should she travel to London. Superfast 5G mobiles are a step closer. Didn't see not long ago since 4G was a thing that of the future and everyone wanted it. Women in NHS pay 23% less than men. Is your fridge or freezer at a fire risk? Consumer watchdog Which has called for plastic backed fridges to be urgently removed from sale because they pose fire risks and could speed up a blaze. A teenager stabbed to death in Hackney has been identified as an 18-year-old named Israel. More than 50 people are being killed in London so far this year. Yulia Skripal, poisoned by nerve agents in UK, says she is getting stronger daily after waking up a week ago. We have lots of suspicions about Britain. Russian ambassador in the UK, Alexander Yakovenko, says many Russians have died in very strange circumstances. Australia hotel stabbing, accused will not stand trial for murder. Attack on Man City coach before Liverpool game leaves Pep Guardiola bemused. Russia demands to know who international chemical inspectors are before accepting results in spy poisoning investigation. Ambassador to the UK, Alexander Yakovenko, says. Day 1 of Commonwealth Games. It's a big day for England, who picked up 12 medals, 6 of them coming in the pool. Neil Facey triumphed on track cycling to collect Scotland's first gold of the Games. Now Australia has more medals than us, but we're higher up on England's higher up on medals table as they have more goals, which is what people really go for. Russian amiibo unable to confirm authenticity of Yulia Skripal phone call. Ross Murdoch takes silver in the 200-metre breaststroke. England's James Wilby Phipps pipes Scotland's Ross Murdoch to gold in the men's 200 metre breaststroke. Skepta has been made a chief in Nigeria. England has had to settle for silver in the men's 4,000 team pursuit final. It is gold and a new world record for England's Thomas Hammer in the men's S14 200 metre freestyle. Cardiff City captain Sean Morrison has apologised to Neil Warnock after using offensive language on social media, post taunting Derby players. Hannah Miley has taken silver in 400 metre medley. Now, Hannah Miley is Scottish. First gold in the pool goes to England's Amy Wilmot. It's gold for England in the men's team final of the gymnastics. Assassination list: A&E doctor jailed for 12 years. Calderdale councillor suspended over Muslim parasite post. Muslim parasite. No, it's hard to believe that kind of racism still happens as upfront as it does. McMafia gangs behind London crime wave, David Lammy. Heifer Green burglary death, man 78 bailed. US car registrations plunge in March. Final gender pay gap figures revealed. Crews use water bombs for a major wildfire on the Isle of Rum. Lottery good cause is losing out to corporate profits. Commonwealth Games, England's Jessica Learmonth wins triathlon silver. Derbyshire Police, choir of males PCs not very PC. Which wants virus fridges taken off the market. North Korea could reach UK shores within months. University of Hull beats Oxbridge in equality ranking. Human planet tribe treehouse not real home. Treehouse is not real home, says BBC. Children's centre closure may be as high as 1,000, says study. A genuinely loving man who was liked by everyone, Gary Lincoln has paid tribute to Ray Wilkins. Man killed in Hackney stabbing. Anyways, but like, Liverpool did win against Man City yesterday 3-0. And BBC World News. Moving on to BBC World News. Pressure builds on Trump environment chief. US top doctors urges Americans to carry opioid antidote. Russian TV airs Skripal phone call. Charles Puigdemont freed on bail by German court. Karaoke selfies, a man Instagram's welfare warning overkill. Dana White has confirmed that Conor McGregor has been stripped of his UFC lightweight title. The 36-year-old most seriously injured during the incident in YouTube. YouTube is recovering well. Hospital says he is now in fair condition. Two of other victims have already been discharged. Cyclist Julie Briskman sues after losing job at Trump insult. The man using the pink cat-covered lunchbox to show boys that men can be emotional, silly, and gleeful. U.S. trade deficit widens in February. Inside New York's taxi crisis. Vietnamese activist lawyer Nguyen Van Dai jailed for 15 years. So there are some dodgy countries out there. Not say that some dodgy places out there, but yeah. Louise Petrie remains found in basement 50 years on. Skepta has been made world chief in Nigeria. Salman Khan, superstar who lives dangerously. The Senegalese supporters have won awards for their fair play attitude. Catalonia ex-police chief Trapero charged with sedition. South Korean university boycotted over killer robots. Something you hear every day. France military sexism minister pledges zero tolerance. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, speaks about row with Vin Diesel. European tour firm denies Cameroon kidnapping. His personal beliefs do not reflect the views on Rugby Australia. The Wallabies say they are disappointed with Israel Folau anti-gay comments. Google should not be in the business of war, says employees. Iranian TV censors Italian football badge. Marc Jacobs gets engaged in a Chipotle with other unusual celeb proposals. Saudi cinema screens reopen on April 18th with Black Panther. HSBC leaks. Spain holds Swiss bank whistleblower Falciani. Johnny Valiant killed. WWE Hall of Fame killed by truck. Finland bans postponed football matches. Japanese women ordered to leave sumo ring despite emergency. Sierra Leone election, Julius Maada Bio sworn in as president. Bollywood star Khan guilty of poaching. Trash robot clean up Chicago's rivers rubbish. When Uber drivers replace ambulances. Why are female mass shooters so rare? Philippines to temporarily close popular tourist island of Boracay. Brazil's Lula must start prison term. Supreme Court rules. Commonwealth Games. Australia's Sally Pearson withdraws from Gold Coast 2018. How did the Facebook data scandal unfold? What's next for Trump's trade agenda? Spanish royals in awkward moment. Turkish orphans stranded after IS struggle in Iraq. What 160-year-old school tells us about mutiny in India? Now I'm curious. What a School in an English Pub says about India's 1857 mutiny. In 2014, while sitting in an office in London's Mile End, historian Kim Wagner received an email from a couple who say they owned a school. Dr. Wagner, who teaches Imperial History at Queen Mary University of London, says the couple told him they did not feel comfortable with a thing in the house and did not know what to do with it. The lower jaw of the skull was missing, the remaining teeth were loose, and it had the sepia hue of old age. But what was remarkable as it was a detailed handwritten note in a neatly folded slip of paper inserted in an eye socket. The note told the brief history of the school. School of Havildar Ombeg, 46th Regiment Bengali North Infantry, who was blown away from a gun amongst several others of his regiment. He was a principal leader of the mutiny of 1857 and of a most ruffianly disposition. He took possession at the head of a small party of a road leading to the fort, which place all the Europeans were hurrying for safety. His party surprised and killed Dr. Graham, shooting him in the belly by the side of his daughter. His next victim was Reverend Mr. Hunt, a missionary who was flying with his wife and daughters in the same direction. He murdered Mr. Hunt, and his good wife and daughters, after being brutally treated, were butchered by the roadside. Arumberg was 32 years of age, 5 feet 7.5 inches high, and by no means an ill-looking native. The school was brought home by Captain A.R. Costello, late Captain 7th Dragoons. He was on duty when Ellenberg was executed. What was clear from the note was that the school was of a rebel Indian soldier called Ellenberg, who belonged to the Bengal Regiment. He was executed in 1858 by being blown from the mouth of a cannon in Sialkot, a town in Punjab province located in present-day Pakistan. And Ratanman, who witnessed the execution, brought the school to England. The note is silent on why Beg committed the alleged murders. Native Hindu and Muslim soldiers, also known as sepoys, rebelled against the British East India Company in 1857 over fears that gun cartridges were greased with animal fat forbidden by their religions. The British ruled for 200 years until the country's independence in 1947. The couple in Essex had trawled the internet and failed to find anything about Beg. They contacted Dr. Wagner after they found his name as a historian who had authored a book on the Indian uprising, often referred to as the First War of Independence. I'll quickly say end of part 1. End of part 1. Part 2, when we finish off the article quickly, and yeah, we'll go from there. Grizzly Trophy. On a wet November day, which was also his birthday, Dr. Wagner met the couple. They told him that they had inherited the school after one of their relatives took over the pub in Kent called the Lord Clyde in 1963 and found the school stored on some old crates and boxes in a small room in the back of the building. Nobody quite knows how the school ended up in the pub. The local media had excitedly reported on the nerve-shattering discovery in 1963. It then carried pictures of the new pub's owners proudly posing with the Grizzly Trophy before it was put in display in the pub when the owners died. It finally passed on to their relatives, who simply hid it away. and so I found myself standing in a small train station in Essex with a human skull in my bag, not just any other skull, but one directly related to parts of history and that I teach my students every year, says Dr. Wagner. What is very clear, he says, is that it was a trophy skull irrevocably linked to a narrative of violence. But first, Dr. Wagner had confirmed that the skull matched the history outlined in the note, written by an unknown person at London's Natural History Museum. An expert examined it and suggested that it dated back to the mid-19th century and that it definitely belongs to a male of Asian ancestry. It was possibly around his mid-30s. There was no sign of violence, said the expert, which was not unusual for the case of execution by cannon, where the torso takes the full impact of a blast. The skull also bore cut marks from a tool, suggesting that the head was defleshed by being boiled or being left exposed to insects. Dr. Wagner says he did not believe immediately that it would be possible to find out very much more about Begg. Individual soldiers rarely left any traces in the colonial archives, with the possible exception of someone like Mangal Pandey, who fired the first shot at a British officer on 29th of March 1857 on the outskirts of Kolkata, and stirred up a wave of rebellion in India against the colonial powers. Begg's name was not mentioned in any of the documents, reports, letters, memoirs, or trial records from the period in the archives and libraries in India and UK. There are also no descendants demanding the return of the skull. But there are a few helpful discoveries. Dr. Wagner found the letters of Begg's alleged victims in their families, which provided crucial, he says, in piecing the story together were the letters and memoirs of an American missionary, Andrew Gordon, who lived in Sialkot during and after the uprising. He knew both Dr. Graham and the hunters, Begg's victims, personally, and he had attended the soldiers' execution. There was also a reeling report in the illustrated newspaper, The Sphere in 1911, and a grisly exhibit in a museum in Whitehall. The ghastly memento of India's mutiny has, we are informed, just been placed in the Museum of the Royal United Service Institution at Whitehall. It is a skull of a sepoy in the 49th Regiment of Bengal Infantry. He was blown from the guns in 1858 with 18 others. The skulls have been converted into a cigar box. Yes? Yeah, it's currently in my computer though. Okay. Give me a second while I take out my computer. Give me a second. Really? Let me drop it. I'll drop it. There we go. Okay. Trying to lock the front door. The newspaper said that while we may be able to understand all the savageries of the terrible times, the cruelty of the natives and the cruel retribution that followed, it is not an outrage that a memento of our retribution.
Sorry, Amber, that's as far as I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of you, look.
Okay. It is not an outrage that a memento of our retribution, which in these days would not be tolerated. for a moment should be a place of exhibition in a great public institution, battling a famine of evidence. Dr. Wagner began research in Beg. He worked in the archives in London and Delhi and travelled to Sialkot to locate the forgotten battlefield of the Floor de Trumugat clash in July 1857, during which the Sialkot rebels, including Beg, were intercepted and defeated by General John Nicholson. The general was mortally wounded 2 months later, leading to assault to recapture Delhi from the mutineers. He relied on letters, petitions and proclamations and statements by rebels after the outbreak of the uprising, went through 19th century newspaper databases and scanned books. It was only after I spent some time researching the story in the UK and India that I managed to piece a historical narrative together and realised that there was a bigger story to tell, he told me. Detective novel, the result of Wagner's new book, The School of Alun Beg, a vivid page-turner of life and death in British India during the largest anti-colonial revolt of the 19th century. Yasmin Khan, Associated Professor of History at the University of Oxford, says the book reads like a detective novel, and yet it is also an important contribution to understanding British rule and the extent of colonial violence. Dr. Wagner writes that his book sets out to restore some of the humanity and dignity that has been denied to Alun Beg by telling the story of his life and death during one of the most dramatic episodes in the history of British India. I hope I have prepared the ground for Alun Beg to finally find some peace some 160 years late. In Dr. Wagner's telling, Alun Beg, properly transliterated as Alim Beg, was a Sunni Muslim from northern India. The Bengal regiment was raised in Kanpur, now Kanpur, in today's Uttar Pradesh state, and it was likely that Beg hailed from the region. Muslim made up around 20% of a largely Hindu regiment. Beg was responsible for a small detachment of soldiers and had been Gully routine guarding the camp, carrying letters and worked as a pawn for higher officials of the regiment after the revolt of July 1857. He appeared to have evaded the British troops until his capture and execution nearly a year later. Resting place Captain Costello, who was described as being present at the execution in the note, was established as Robert George Costello. Dr. Wagner believes he was the man who brought the school to Britain. He was born in Ireland and sent to India in 1857 and tried from commission 10 months later. Boarded a steamer from India in October 2015 and reached Southampton more than a month later. The final aim of my research is to prepare for Beg to be repatriated to India if at all possible, Dr. Wagner says. He says there have been no claims to the school, but he's in touch with Indian institutions and the British High Commission in India. He's also involved in the initial discussion. I am very keen for Alun Beg's repatriation not to be politicised and for the school not to end up in a glass case in a museum or simply be forgotten in a box somewhere, says Dr. Wagner. I hope it is for Alun Beg to be repatriated and buried in a respectful manner in the near future. A fitting place to bury Beg, he believes, would be on an island on the Ravi River, where the sepoy and his fellow soldiers had taken refuge after surviving the first day of battle, and which today marks the border between India and Pakistan. Ultimately, that is not for me to decide, but whatever happens, the final chapter of Alun Beg's story has yet to be written. End of article. Russians protest over toxic landfill near Moscow. Trump diplomacy, can US quit Syria very soon? It's complicated. Using astronomy to save species. End of part 2, end of video.